Hello children, hope you are all safe and sound and doing all the work that is given to you. See, English comes only once a week for you, so please don't pile it up. You must be learning only half a lesson or a poem. The next half is continued only next week. So see that you take up your studies seriously and don't waste your time, okay? So today I will be taking for you A Legend of Northland from the text Beehive, okay? From the text Beehive. Now this is not a lesson, actually a poem, A Legend of Northland by Phoebe Carey. But that O is silent, so when we pronounce, we have to pronounce it as Phoebe Carey, okay? Phoebe Carey. Now this poem is written by Phoebe Carey, A Legend of Northland. Now what does a legend means? A legend means a story, okay? It is always a story, a kada. So Northland which places come under Northland? All the cold countries, all the places which are snow covered for mostly 6 months of the year. That is half the year, it is always covered with snow and they get very little of sunlight. So they actually crave for sunlight. So the places which are always covered with snow, that is, we have tropical climate, but places like the poles where it is fully covered, they don't get sunlight at all. Then there are many parts in America, Australia, where all the 6 months, European countries, where all the 6 months it is covered by snow. Now this poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. So this poem, before I come down to the poem, let me tell you something about Phoebe Carey. Now she was an American poetess and the younger sister of Alice Carey. Her sister was also a writer. Now when you hear the name, you may feel the writer is a male writer, but actually the writer is a female writer. Now both the sisters had a very good craze for writing or had taken up writing as their profession, and both of them did well in their field. She was born in 1824 in Ohio, USA. Phoebe Carey was born in Ohio, USA and died in 1871 in Rhode Island. Now she died not at the prime of her youth, but in her middle age. She was only 47 when she died. The family earned their living by farming, but their mother always encouraged these girls to write, okay? So this writer was a champion of human rights and for a short time edited a newspaper by the name Revolution, okay? Now let me come down to the poem. Now this poem narrates the legend of an old lady. Old lady? Legend. It's a story of an old lady who was very, very greedy. And because of her greed, Saint Peter, who was an apostle of Jesus Christ, became angry. He was provoked. Okay, let us see what the story has got to, or what this poem has got to tell us. The story is written in the form of a poem. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. We must be wondering that people in the cold country sleep. Actually, they also find it very difficult to sleep because it is very cold. It's biting cold. Biting cold means it's unbearable. So in the Northland, where the days of the hours are few, that is, daytime is few, night is more, and they don't even get a proper sleep, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like beer's cups in their funny furry clothes. They harness their reindeers to sledges. They tie their reindeers to sledges, and children, when they sit on them, they look like baby, that is small beer cups. Beer cups, small beers, kutti beer, okay, because they are covered with clothes of fur. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it's true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. So the writer is telling these children were told a story which I believe is not true, but I am conveying it to you because I want you to learn a lesson from it. Okay? The poet is conveying the story in the form of a poem to convey a message. This poem has got a message, and this message she wanted to convey to us. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it, preaching just as he did, he came to the door of a cottage in travelling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single cake. So, once when Saint Peter, he lived in the world now, that is, he was sent to the world, and he walked about, and he was walking about and preaching. Saint Peter was fasting the whole day. He was feeling hungry and tired. So he came to a lady who was running a shop where cakes were made. So he came to her and asked her for only one cake because he was very hungry and nearly going to faint. What did this lady do? So she made a very little cake, but as its baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first one had done. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. Now this lady was very, very stingy, a greedy lady. She only wanted to make money. So when this man or this saint came in front of her and asked for only one cake, what she did, she felt that the cakes which were arranged in the shelf were big ones and she didn't want to part with it because she earned money out of it. So what she took a little bit of dough which she had and put it on the tray to bake it. But when it got baked, it was quite big. So she took little more small amount of dough and put it to bake. And again, this turned out to be of the same size as the first one. So she was not ready to part. So again, she took a small amount of dough and rolled it as flat as a wafer. And she baked it. And when she got it baked, it also appeared big for her. So she didn't want to part. And what did she say? For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. So the last one, which was as thin as a wafer, she didn't even want to part with it. She said that the cakes which I had baked were thin and small, but when it got baked, it is quite big. So I don't want to part it. And she didn't give Saint Peter even a small piece of cake to eat, who was really hungry and was fainting because of hunger. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. And this act of her provoked the saint. The saint, who was very calm, who was preaching the whole day, who was fasting the whole day, came to her and asked for one piece of cake just to quench his hunger. And since she didn't give him, he felt that such human beings should not live on earth. Greedy and selfish should not be human beings on earth. She had everything. Now the saint felt, and he said, "You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. You have got everything. You have got food, you have got clothes, you have got shelter, you have got fire to keep yourself warm. But you are very greedy and selfish. So you are not to be on this earth as a human form. Being a human being is a curse for you. So you go and find your own food. Make your own nest and live in the open. And now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. So from now onwards, you will not get anything. You will have to make a nest of your own. You will have to bore for food. You will have to bore for food. And you will have to fly and do everything on your own in the open. Okay? Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Now this selfishness of this lady provoked the saint, and in this way she was sent up as a bird. She flew up from the chimney without saying a word. She was converted to a bird, or she was changed to a bird. And up she went out from the chimney like a bird. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. But all the rest of her clothes were burnt, black as a coal in the flame. She had a scarlet cap. Scarlet means red color cap on her head, and that was kept on her head. The rest of the body got charred. Charred means got burnt, and she was black as a coal in the flame. Okay? But all the rest of her clothes were burnt. Only her cap remained. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the tree till this very day, boring and boring for food. So she was changed into a woodpecker by the saint because of her selfishness. So it is believed that every country, actually the poet is not believing, but she is conveying this story to us in the form of a poem to make us realize or to teach us a lesson that we should not be selfish in life. So every school country boy has seen her in the wood. Wood means where lots of trees are there. നമ്മൾ കാടെന്ന് പറയുന്ന കൂട്ട ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ വുഡ് എന്ന് പറയും. Where she lives in the tree till this very day, boring and boring for food. So I'm sure you all must have seen a woodpecker. It has got a red color top. That is, it looks like a cap on the head, and it has got a large beak, and its tongue is very sticky. So it keeps on boring on the trees. That is, it pierces it with the wood with the beak, make holes in it, and tries to take out the insect, which is a food for the woodpecker. So woodpecker is seen all around the world, and this is the story behind it. Saint Peter was provoked by this lady's greediness and selfishness, and he felt that such people should not live on this earth. So what is the lesson we have learned? That we should not be selfish in life. The narrator herself knew that it is not true, but she wanted to teach us a lesson from the story, and that is, we should not be selfish. We should be loving, caring, and helping. Whatever little we have got in life, let us share it with people. We may not be able to give amounts and tons of money to anybody, but good words and good deeds always will be a great asset to us throughout our life. So, my dear children, don't be very selfish in life. That is the lesson that we have learned from this poem, and this is the advice which I am also giving you. Don't be selfish. Go out of the way to help somebody. It may be a small deed, but it will give satisfaction both to you and to the one who has received it. Okay? So, I'll be giving you the notes behind this poem, after this poem, and do write the notes in your notebook. Take care of yourself, and you will be having an exam before the school closes, I'm sure. So I'll give you the portions. By the time, whatever portions we have taken so far after the previous exam, go through it very thoroughly. Okay? Okay. Right. So have a nice day. Keep safe. Eat healthy foods. Help your mother, that is your parents at home. Take care of your younger ones if you have got any younger brother and sister. If you have got an elder younger brother or sister, do help them. Take care of your grandparents at home. Okay? Bye. Have a nice day.